Greetings and welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylee Jo and I make content all about my experiences as a theater teacher, including comparisons between full-length and junior shows. For those of you that don't know, a full-length Broadway musical is usually 2 to 2.5 hours long, and the junior version of that same show is usually shortened to about an hour or an hour and 15 minutes, and they reduce the content for complexity as well as appropriateness. Today I am going to be reviewing the Addams Family musical, of which there are actually 4 versions. First of all, we have the full-length version, we have the school edition, which is meant for high school, young at part, which is meant more for middle school, and younger at part, which is actually meant for elementary schools. But today, this video is specifically focusing on the full edition versus the junior edition, which for this company is called young at part. So let's get started. The Addams Family has a very rich history before ever being turned into a stage show. It all began with a series of comic cartoon strips that were written and illustrated by Charles Addams and published in the late 1930s. The family story was adapted for both film and TV, live action, and animation 8 different times before the premiere of the musical in 2009 starring Nathan Lane, and then it was adapted 3 more times after that. This leads me to the pros of producing the Addams Family musical, beginning with name recognition. As we just discussed, the Addams Family has been around since the 1930s, meaning anyone of any age should have some kind of memory related to this family and this storyline. Number 2, large ensemble opportunities. The ancestors in the Addams Family are one of my favorite ensemble groups because of how well and how frequently they are woven in throughout the story.
Torn asunder, down 6 feet under, we get together here.
Number 3, this show is unique. Don't get me wrong, I love a campy Disney fairy tale as much as the next person, but what I love about the Addams Family is that it has a unique tone applied to relatable themes, making it not your average musical. This variation of the Addams Family features Morticia and Gomez and their children Wednesday and Pugsley. In this version, Wednesday is probably around 18 years old, and Pugsley is closer to that 10 to 12 range. In the story, Wednesday falls in love with a normal boy from a normal family named Lucas Beinecke.
Lucas Beinecke loves me and he wants to marry me.
She confides in her father Gomez with this information and also tells him that she is going to be inviting the family to dinner that night so that they can all get to know one another better. But the catch is that she asks her father not to tell her mother about the engagement until she is ready. This causes Gomez a lot of distress because he wants to please both of the women in his life, but he is not the kind of person to lie to his wife. In the meantime, Uncle Fester, who is a bit of a Cupid in this variation, forces the Addams ancestors to stay Earthside until they can help Wednesday and Lucas achieve their happily ever after. Unfortunately, it is very difficult to have even one normal night with the Addams family involved. Oh, and Fester, he's in love with the moon.
I am in love.
Oh, Fester, who is it?
The moon.
Yeah, that's normal.
That pretty well sums it up. Let's talk about the changes made from the full version to the young at part version. Obviously, in order to shrink a 2.5 hour show down to just over an hour, you're going to have to make a lot of cuts. I'm not going to go over every single little change because we would be here for a very long time, but I am going to highlight the most important ones. Starting from the very beginning of the show, we have the stellar opening number which utilizes almost every member of the cast, and that is When You're in Addams.
When you're in Addams.
They keep this song in the young at part version, but they remove a few of Gomez's lines, including
Dress cut down to Venezuela.
they switch sexy to sweet,
I love it when you talk sexy.
and they remove his response to Morticia's "You really need to love your wife."
At least twice a day.
They also remove the lyric "death rattle" and the entire dance break that happens after that, likely for timing purposes.
Death rattle.
Songs that were cut right from the beginning of Act 1 that did belong to Gomez include 2 things: Wednesday's Growing Up and Trapped. Basically, following the opening number, Fester tells the ancestors that they need to stick around to help Wednesday. Then we go back to the house where Wednesday tells Gomez about her engagement with Lucas. The Beinecke family sends flowers to the Addams family as a pre-dinner gift, much to the disdain of Morticia. After that, we go straight into the song Pulled, where Wednesday confesses her newfound feelings for Lucas while affectionately torturing her little brother, Pugsley.
Pulled in a new direction.
This song is incredibly similar to the original full-length version, but there is a chunk of lyrics that they cut towards the end of the song. After pulled, the family discusses the upcoming dinner and what the expectations are for everybody's behavior with the song One Normal Night. This song is shared between both Wednesday and Lucas's family and is a somewhat reduced version of the original song. Just like in the full version, following the song One Normal Night, the Beinecke's arrive and the proper family introductions are made. There is still a lot of dark humor in this young at heart script. For example, whenever Grandma meets Alice, she asks her if she has been running and eating healthy like she should be. And whenever Alice, which is Lucas's mother, responds and says, "No, not really like I should be," Grandma simply shrugs and says, "Well then, honey, you're gonna die." Usually at this point in the show, Morticia and Alice step aside to have a private conversation with the song Secrets.
If he should try once telling a lie once, I throw him out head first.
This is cut from the young at heart version, but the conversation is still there, likely just to save on time. Fester and the ancestors roll through 2 different reprises of his song Fester's Manifesto, titled But Love Reprise. Then, Gomez, Wednesday, and Lucas have a conversation about the secret engagement that Morticia walks in on. Gomez ushers Wednesday and Lucas out of the room, only for him and Morticia to have a heated conversation where she accuses him of lying to her. This leads us to Gomez's version of the song What If. Just like in the full version, Pugsley is spying on Wednesday and Lucas as they are about to kiss whenever he jumps out to interrupt them. Lucas tries to befriend Pugsley, but Pugsley is not very impressed, and Wednesday insults Pugsley and then leaves. This leads Pugsley to sing his version of What If. Then Pugsley meets up with Grandma, we get some more dark humor from her, and Pugsley steals a potion that is supposed to turn Mary Poppins into Medea that he plans to use on Wednesday so that she looks crazy and makes Lucas want to leave her. We jump ahead to after dinner, where Morticia insists on playing the classic Addams Family game titled Full Disclosure. In this game, each member has to drink from the sacred chalice of truth, and then they have to share a secret that they have never told anyone. In the full version, this is broken into Full Disclosure Part 1, and then Alice accidentally drinks the potion meant for Wednesday. She sings her solo Waiting, which arguably is my favorite scene from the full version, and then we have a Full Disclosure Part 2. For the young at heart version of this show, they have condensed this scene down quite a bit. They do have Full Disclosure Part 1. Alice does still drink Pugsley's potion, but they cut her song entirely, probably both for timing and appropriateness reasons. Alice drinking the potion results in her becoming very strong-willed, unlike her normal, very meek demeanor. This causes a big argument between her and her husband Mal, which causes Wednesday to blow up about the engagement. Morticia hears about the engagement and realizes that Gomez was lying to her about it, and overall everybody ends this dinner being very, very angry and frustrated with one another. Next up, Morticia has her solo song Death is Just Around the Corner with the help of the ancestors and usually an appearance by the Grim Reaper himself.
Feel good saying death is just around the corner, swiftly on its way.
Next up, just like in the full version, Fester confesses his love for the moon with the song The Moon and Me with help from the female ancestors. In the next scene, Wednesday and Gomez do make up, but the young at heart version cuts the incredibly heartwarming song Happy Sad.
I'm sad and happy. Why should I choose?
This leads us to the reconciliation of Wednesday and Lucas and Lucas's parents in the song Crazier Than You.
Crazier than you. I'm crazier.
This song is super similar to how it was in the full version, except I think I actually like it more in the young at heart version because they disperse a lot of the lines to ancestors, giving them solo singing opportunities. In the full version, we would usually cut to yet another Gomez solo titled Not Today, but this is cut from the young at heart version, and instead we jump into Morticia telling Gomez that she is leaving, and then they reconcile with the song Live Before We Die.
Side by side.
We're gloomy as can be.
After this song, they make up in the only way that Gomez and Morticia can, and that is with a beautiful tango dance. In the full version, the tango is just over 3 minutes long, but in this young at heart version, they have condensed it down to just 30 seconds, which allows you to keep the classic tango aspect, but keep your choreography much simpler. Then we have our ending scene where everybody re-enters, makes up, Fester flies off to be with his love, the moon, and we have a quick reprise of When You're in Addams. This is different than the full version, where there's actually a very lengthy finale in which Lurch comes out and leads the song Move Towards the Darkness. Now, I have a few things to point out that might be concerns or just things to consider. First of all, there is still a lot of dark humor in this show.
Someone buried in an avalanche. Ooh.
And if you think that your administration is not going to be supportive of that, that's something you need to address early on. Another moment you may want to just be aware of is the one whenever Pugsley interrupts Lucas and Wednesday about to kiss. Although with that particular moment, the dialogue doesn't actually say anything about kissing. That's all in the stage directions. So I think for me personally, with my middle school students, I would choose to go a slightly different way with this. This isn't changing any dialogue. I would just change it from them about to kiss to them reaching out to hold hands with one another, because that would still be a reason, an inciting incident for Pugsley to jump up and say, "Hey, what are you doing?" or whatever his line is. And the reason that I would do this is because as the director of students who are at max 14 years old, I just don't think that it's a comfortable situation for them to ask them to get close in a way that would look like they are about to convincingly kiss. So that's just my take on it. All right, let's talk about my overall rating for this show. Oftentimes, junior versions of shows can feel like very out-of-touch, disjointed copies of the original, but I didn't feel that way with Addams Family Young Apart. I honestly felt like the script was really intentionally crafted. So I'm gonna give the Young Apart version a 9 out of 10. I felt like the pacing was superb, the story is tight, and the dark humor is still there, meaning that the core of our Addams Family is still intact. I have not directed this show yet, but it just moved to the very top of my list. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and please let me know if there are any other titles that you would like me to compare. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, break a leg.